Now, I hate these monotone computer voice videos. I can think of pretty much no reason whatsoever to do them, except perhaps if you speak no English yourself. But if you don't speak English, how do you program the computer to speak the language? So anyhow, here's a really terrible monotone computer voice explaining why God should be defended. And honestly, I think this is yet another theistic fail, because there's no reason to take any of this silly religious nonsense seriously.
Arun Maji explains why God has to be defended. What is the greatest challenge of humanity?
These days, dealing with reality. Now, granted, that's something that the religious have no interest in, as we will soon see.
Is it conquering Mars?
No, although we have no need for imaginary friends in the sky for that. Humans can and will eventually succeed in that on their own.
Is it surpassing planetary civilization? Then stellar civilization? Then galactic civilization?
Yeah, I don't know what surpassing planetary civilization means, but if you want to talk about improving the human race, the best thing we can do is outgrow our desire for the supernatural. But again, the religious have no interest in that, do they?
Or is it finding cure for cancer?
And we'll do all that one day too, all without the help of any gods.
None of these are true.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that someday they will be. We might not have achieved all of them yet, but we will certainly accomplish them all in the future. And your God won't have a thing to do with any of it, will he?
To me, the greatest challenge of humanity is his pain, his suffering.
That's not a challenge. That's simple reality. Now, you might not like that it's reality, but it doesn't stop it from being so.
He faces this pain and suffering every moment of his existence.
Welcome to the real world. And this is where I have to go back and say that dealing with reality as it actually is and not as you wish it was is part of the basic maturation process. And this is why the religious are absurdly immature. They're not concerned with the way the world operates. They want it to be different. So they invent magical deities to save us all from reality, and when that doesn't work, they make excuses for why their entire belief system fails, and they're incapable of seeing the utter absurdity of the whole thing.
Science has given us better shelter, better clothes, better way of life, more comfort,
all of which humanity has accomplished without imaginary friends in the sky. Mostly that's because those imaginary friends just aren't real. This is what happens when you take responsibility for your own life and stop pretending that evil forces are out making things hard for you, or that supposedly good forces can come and take away your problems. Science happens when religion goes away. Maybe we should do more of that.
Science has even reduced our physical pain. But has it reduced our emotional pain and suffering?
Damn straight it has, because most emotional pain and suffering falls into two categories. First, pain with a physical cause, and science has done a great deal to eliminate or make more manageable such pain with medications and medical treatments. Secondly, emotional pain brought on by a refusal to deal with the real world as it is. And I'll tell you how to deal with that. Grow up. Stop pretending you're special. Stop pretending that the universe owes you anything. Accept the reality that you're just another animal on this planet. A supposedly smart animal, but an animal nonetheless. And just deal with the world around you. Stop whining. Stop being a child. Get a grip.
No, it has not. Rather, it has multiplied our emotional sufferings.
Only if your coping mechanism is ridiculous delusion and you're really unhappy that science has shown that these things are not reasonable to accept. Because for those of us who just deal with reality, we don't seem to have these absurd emotional crises.
We have better way of life than our ancient ancestors. But are we happier than them?
Sure, when we had a life expectancy of 20 years, and most of that was in excruciating physical pain due to having no medical technology or knowledge. If you think that was better, I question your sanity.
No, we are not.
How exactly do you know that? Because we can look back at the writings of ancient people and find out that they weren't happy. In fact, they suffered from pretty much the same problems as we have today. And even if they were happier, this is not an argument from ignorance. This is an argument for ignorance. This person is arguing that we're too smart for our own good. Yeah, right.
One researcher found not a single case of depression in one of the tribes in Papua New Guinea.
Yeah, I'm sure they were too busy trying to survive to have time to noodle their navels. So, am I supposed to believe that this apologist has gone to live with that tribe in Papua New Guinea? Why not? They're a lot happier, aren't they? They also probably don't believe in his God.
What does it prove?
Not a damn thing?
It proves primitive people are emotionally more happy.
It actually doesn't prove any such thing. A single data point doesn't actually prove any statistical claim.
This is disturbing to see. Many people are fanatically engaged to disprove existence of God.
It is unnecessary to disprove anything which has never been demonstrated in the first place. Why don't you get on that?
My question to them is, would God's non-existence make this world better?
Since God's existence hasn't been proven to begin with, that's irrelevant. But I'd argue that yes, getting rid of belief in gods would absolutely make this world better. Getting people to deal with the world as it exists would dramatically improve humanity. You wouldn't see religious zealots murdering unbelievers because they don't follow the same irrational blind faith. You wouldn't see Christians murdering their children by denying them medical treatment because they think their imaginary friend will magically cure them. You won't see people voting irrationally on the basis of what some politician says their common delusion supposedly wants. And people will stop whining about how unfair reality is once they come to the factually correct conclusion that fairness isn't something that's owed to them. So yes, let's get rid of religion. It's a dramatic step towards improving the human species.
Would God's non-existence reduce human suffering?
A lack of belief in gods would certainly reduce some of it, and it would change the reaction some people have to it. Deal with reality already. Stop pretending you're something special.
The answer is no. They argue it's because of religion all these killings happening in the world. Really?
Yes, really. As I make this video, there have been, to date, 102 religiously motivated terrorist attacks worldwide, resulting in 715 dead in just the first 22 days of January 2018 alone. That's just for the radical Muslims. It doesn't count any of the other damage being done by the religious. So yes, let's get rid of all of that. It won't stop all pain and suffering, but it sure would have saved an average of 32.5 lives per day.
Isn't it the same fallacy in argument, if I say it's because of science terrorists bomb children?
Science terrorists bomb children? This guy doesn't speak the language, and that's fine, of course, but why would you make a video in a language you're not even conversant in? That makes no sense.
Or America killed thousands in Hiroshima.
And Hitler killed millions in the Holocaust because he believed God had ordered him to wipe out the Jews.
So far, science has failed terribly to address our emotional suffering.
Let's be honest here. It's not the job of science to address emotionally suffering, except where people have something psychologically or physically wrong with them, and then science addresses it quite fine. But where's the responsibility of the individuals to just deal with reality? I guess religion and responsibility just don't play well together.
It's unlikely that science will ever be able to reduce human suffering.
Except, as I've already shown, it has.
If science can ever reduce human sufferings, then we can forget God.
Done and done. I mean, work in plant genetics has made plants hardier and has fed millions of people who might otherwise have starved to death. What has your imaginary friend demonstrably accomplished? Prove that God has ever done anything objectively. And if you can't do so, and we all know you can't, then shouldn't we discard this pointless and non-existent God of yours?
Until then, let people believe in God. Let people worship God.
I don't think it's possible to stop them. I can, however, try to educate them and show them that their beliefs are absurd on their very face and that they can dramatically improve their lives by simply dealing with the real world as it is, not as they wish it was. So whether you like it or not, I'm going to keep doing that.
Let people do whatever they want.
Sure, let's let people murder non-believers, throw homosexuals off of roofs, try to introduce pseudoscience into classrooms, make ridiculous voting decisions based on delusion, let people kill their children, and pass on their own ignorance to the next generation through indoctrination. Those things all sound like things a reasonable and rational society should encourage, right?
This class of half-educated people are too blind to see his brothers writhing in emotional pain.
Wait, you mean the religious, right? Because you just described them to a T. Half-educated idiots who have such little grasp on the real world that they don't understand why people are hurting.
Because millions of people can reduce their sufferings by faith in God.
No, they cannot. I don't care how much faith you have in a God. It's not going to magically make food appear on their plate. It's not going to cure disease. It's not going to reduce infant mortality. You know what does all those things? Science, bitches!
I shall continue to defend God. And I shall do it until my last drop of blood. Thank you everyone from Orun Maji.
Hey, you do whatever floats your boat, and I and many other rational people will keep pointing out what an irrational, delusional fool you are. Because there's no more reason to believe in a God than there is to believe in a leprechaun who will bring you a pot of gold. You are not improving your life. You're just wasting it. Worse, you're deluding others into the same irrational thinking and harming them, and all of us with your stupidity. This is not something to be proud of. In fact, it's disgusting. While I don't think for a second that you understand that or even care, it remains a reprehensible way not only to live your own life, but to indoctrinate gullible and idiotic people into. You are part of the problem, not part of the solution. Just one more example of religion harming mankind. What else is new?